It's 10 p.m. in Banjul. This is GRTS News, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. Coming up in the headlines, the new U.S. ambassador designate to the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Sharon L. Cromer, presents her letters of credence to His Excellency President Adama Barrow. Her Excellency Vice President of the Gambia, Dr. Aissatou Toure, hosts a meeting on findings of humanitarian crisis in the Casamance region. The Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, starts a 3-day training of trainers for 200 assistant returning officers ahead of the April National Assembly elections. In sports, the Gambia Wrestling Association and partners train wrestling technicians in the country. Elsewhere, African governments raise concerns following Ukraine's call to enlist volunteer fighters, but some youths have expressed interest in fighting for Ukraine. Well, those are the headlines and much more coming ahead with me, Momo Dinjai. Do stay with us. We begin this bulletin with the presidency because the ambassador designate of the United States of America to the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Sharon L. Cromer, formally presented her letters of credence to the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at the State House. Ambassador Cromer replaces Richard Carl Pascal, who recently completed his tour of duty. The new ambassador pledged to further consolidate excellent bilateral and multilateral relations between the United States and the Gambia. Momo Diallo reports.
The new ambassador-designate of the United States of America, Her Excellency Sharon L. Cromer, was welcomed by an honor guard mounted by elements of the State Guard Battalion as she arrives to formally present her letters of credence to the President. He replaces Richard Carl Pascal, who recently ended his tour of duty in the Gambia. After reviewing the honor guard, Ambassador Cromer was escorted upstairs where she formally handed her credentials to the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. Speaking to reporters after the ceremony, Ambassador Cromer pledged to further strengthen the existing relations between the two countries, particularly in the areas of democracy and human rights.
I am so pleased to be here in the Gambia, and I just presented my credentials to His Excellency President Barrow. He welcomed me warmly, and he said it was a homecoming, and he's absolutely right. Here 45 years ago, as a young student with other American students, we were invited by a young English teacher from the Gambia to travel to his village to celebrate Eid. We did, and it was a glorious time, and it impacted my decision to join the Foreign Service of the U.S. government. And here I am today as the U.S. ambassador, here to build the partnership between the U.S. government and the people of the Gambia, to strengthen democratic institutions, to advance good governance, and to promote human rights, and to build economic prosperity.
Ambassador Kroma is a career diplomat with extensive experience in the foreign service. She has served in various capacities in a number of African countries, including Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, and Tanzania. The Gambia and the United States have seen relations reach new heights since President Barrow came to power, and the coming of Ambassador Kroma is expected to cement the relationship for the mutual benefit of the two countries. Mamadou Diallo, JRTS News.
Meanwhile, an eminent group which comprised 14 prominent Gambians presented an advisory paper on institutional framework for coordination of planning and implementation of development plans in the Gambia to the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. The group was formally launched by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs late last year to, among other things, provide information and guidance to the Ministry and Government on planning and implementation of new development strategies. Mamadou Diallo reports.
The Eminent Persons Group on Development Planning Reform in the Gambia formally presented their report to the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, at the State House. The group, which comprises prominent Gambians with extensive experience in the public service and international organizations, was set up by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Mambure Njai, last December. The group, according to its chairman, Aliu Momodou Ngom, will look at planning processes in the Gambia and make recommendations for reforms to government in order to maximally utilize resources.
We also realize that the Gambia has gone through all the planning experiences that other countries also went through. I mean, we've tried it all, but we've now reached a stage where we need to sit back and see what framework best suits the economic environment of the Gambia to try and assist to accelerate the socio-economic advancement of the country.
It is expected that the recommendations provided by these eminent persons will help government in its planning processes, especially at a time when it is looking beyond the National Development Plan.
The Gambia used to have a little comparative advantage before in the sub-region, and I think with a planning framework, and this is coming at a time also when the country has started the process of putting together another 5-year plan at the end of the last 5-year plan, and also preparing a long-term vision. So overall, I think what we envisage is that we will be moving to a higher plane of socio-economic development for the country, and also utilize not only the resources coming from outside, but also from the resources from within.
The report will now be studied by the ministry and government. Mamadou Diallo, JRCS News.
The Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Toure, presided over a day's meeting on the rapid assessment report of the multi-sectoral assessment team, which did preliminary findings on humanitarian crisis caused by the ongoing fight between the Senegalese armed forces and the separatist MFDC rebels of Casamance. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure, who heads the team, said there are so many lessons to take away from the report as government amplifies efforts to deal with the spillover. Louis Mendy reports.
The Rapid Assessment Report of the Multi-Sectoral Rapid Assessment Team is the preliminary findings on the humanitarian crisis caused by the ongoing fight between the Senegalese armed forces with the separatist MFDC rebels of Casamance. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure, who heads the team, said there are so many lessons to take away from the report as the government amplifies efforts to deal with the spillover.
So far so good. What I have learned here is that before we left, we thought we should harmonize the tools and that all the sectors that are relevant should come together rather than each one of them working in silos, which is not an efficient and effective way of dealing with matters. So they have agreed, and after that meeting, they went and have one framework that involves all of them, and that was used to collect the data. and the report, that is what the findings that is being reported here today. So today I am very convinced that this process is also going to build our capacity in creating the opportunity for us to work together, to develop tools and work with our partners who have the relevant technical ability or competence to guide us and support us in making a very good report, a very good approach towards addressing the humanitarian risk.
The findings are important for the government for guidance in policy decision making.
It's a tool that the government can use to engage its partners. You cannot just go to your partner and say, I have this crisis, please give me money. It doesn't work like that. This is a process by which you get the evidence to make the case. And already the evidence is there. We are in this preliminary assessment, it's a rapid assessment, but a lot of findings have been made and a lot of issues have emerged, which shows that the detailed assessment is absolutely important. There are various multifaceted issues that have come. The education of the school children that have been displaced, the issues of violence against women and sexual violence, women and their needs, is also about the health of the mentally and physically challenged, as well as people who are farmers. The study or the data is showing that 70% of the people affected so far are farmers. That's a huge statistics. So it means we have to build their resilience. We need to do a lot of things to respond.
The Senegal customers crisis is not a Gambian problem, but as a border country, the spillover is already immense. Hence this message to the general public by Dr. Aissa Toure, particularly to the people of Fonyi in the West Coast region.
Yes, I just want to first sympathize with the Fonyis and to say that His Excellency President Barrow is very much aware, and we are all aware, that we found themselves in a situation like this. But the first critical message I want to send is that the economy has no role in anything that has to do with this situation. They are here as an economic force who are doing their jobs and nothing to do with this crisis. So I want them to understand it clearly that we should be very careful of what we say and how we say it. We should all put our hearts together and see how we deal with this matter and make sure that people's lives are safe, make sure that we quickly try to resolve the problem from our end, and also our leaders are engaging to see how best to address this problem.
The government has already disbursed $5 million to support the internally displaced persons, and the multi-sectoral rapid assessment committee led by the National Disaster Management Agency has started getting food aid to victims. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, have begun a 3-day training of trainers for 200 assistant returning officers ahead of the April National Assembly elections. As Modu Bajan reports, the training of trainers exercise is meant to equip participants with requisite skills to ensure a free, fair and credible elections.
I am pleased to welcome you all to this very, very important occasion. The Commission is indeed very pleased to engage you as returning officers in this very important capacity building activity, which aims at equipping you with the necessary knowledge and skills in successfully conducting the elections due to be held on 9th April 2022.
Deliberating during the training of Assistant Returning Officers at Kololi, Independent Electoral Commission IEC Chairman Ali Momod Njai said elections cannot be held without well-trained personnel conversant with electoral issues.
It is important to note that successful elections cannot be held without well-trained polling staff. In light of this, the Commission takes great pride in conducting this very important training of trainers. Ladies and gentlemen, election is often regarded as a complex process requiring the participation of a lot of players. The effective and efficient participation of regular staff cannot be understated. Thus, it is important that election staff are fully conversant with their roles and responsibilities in the conduct of elections. Thus, this training is paramount in the conduct of these elections.
For the Training and Communications Director of IEC, Assistant Returning Officers have a burden on their shoulders. Parmakan Khan stated that this is because these officers are to train back around 6,000 polling staff across the country. IEC Assistant Regional Electoral Officer at Basse, Mariama Jame, took participants through the first part of the training manual. She emphasized teamwork and polling rehearsals as crucial elements of the electoral process.
Each member of the team has different functions, but they are all expected to work together harmoniously. That way, we will be able to have a smooth election day. Okay, so all these members of these teams, although their responsibilities are different, they are all part of one team.
As outlined by officials of the Electoral Commission, including Chief Electoral Officer Sambu Jangjai, participants are expected to be equipped with the necessary skills and tools to fully roll out a successful, transparent, free and fair election.
I am to welcome you all to this training. But before I do that, I wish to thank you all for responding to this important national call. During the next 3 days, we are going to share experience and knowledge in the area of election conduct. Therefore, I encourage all of us to take this session serious and to fully participate. May I also remind you to be professional at all times in the discharge of your duties.
For the news, this is Modu Bajan.
Africa Relief and Community Development, the Gambia, with funding from Ms. Anne Abdudaim, on Friday inaugurated a mosque with toilet facility and 2 classrooms in Kotu. The inauguration ceremony, which was led by the President of the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, Alhaji Essa Dabo, was attended by scores of Muslims from far and near. Usman Mane has more in this report.
While inaugurating this mosque with toilet facilities and 2 classrooms in Kotu, the President of Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, Alhaji Essa Dabo, commended Africa Relief and Community Development and One Usainu Mahanera for joining efforts aimed at propagating Islam in the area.
Construction of the mosque is very, very important. It's part of our religious life, especially in the Gambia, where we have a lot of communities who are poor, cannot do it by themselves, and they need it. So we thank the donors who are supporting us to construct such important buildings, important structures of mosque in the country. Alhamdulillah, for this particular mosque, there's a short history. So Alhamdulillah, the place is now turned to a mosque, which is a very is a great achievement. We thank the Almighty Allah for that, inshallah. We thank them. We thank you very much for that contribution, and African Relief. We thank them in general for the support that they are giving to the Gambian community. We always need their support in terms of mosque construction, supporting orphans and widows. All these are things that we need, and we pray to the Almighty Allah to reward you, inshallah.
Imam Dabo further advised beneficiaries on the importance of the mosque on lives of Muslims and Islam by extension.
My advice is for them to utilize the place and use it in the best ability of there. We want to see the classrooms, full of with the children, and also the mosque. Also, we told them during the khutbah that the donor has constructed a mosque, but for them also they have their share. That is to come and pray their 5 daily prayers in this mosque in their large numbers. So this is what we are expecting from them, inshallah.
The Director of Africa Relief and Community Development Gambia Office, Abdullah Lafti, said his organization is promoting the advancement of Islam through the construction of mosques and schools in different countries. Residents of the beneficiary community took turns to hail the donors for building a mosque in the area aimed at spreading the teachings and commands of Allah.
This is a very good gesture to the Muslim Ummah in this community. We're giving a big thanks and appreciation to Africa Relief and Community Development. I mean, this is something that we really needed, because there is no other mosque very near here, and this community was lacking that. And we give them a very big thanks that this is a very good achievement, and we really appreciate it. The community will be very happy to maintain and develop this mosque as a light, and then the school will make sure that our children and kids will be admitted here, inshallah.
The inauguration ceremony was attended by scores of Muslims from far and near, including representatives from the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council. Usman Mane, GRTS.
The 9th President International Award will be hosted in May 2022. According to officials of President International Awards, 3,000 participants respectively are expected to receive either bronze, silver or gold award. Sheikh Juf has more.
The President's International Award, PIA, is all set to stage its award ceremony for participants who have completed award programs in bronze, silver and gold respectively. PIA Executive Director Sini Drame gave a brief history of the President's International Award scheme.
It is a program that was founded in 1956. In 1956 by the Duke of Edinburgh, His Royal Highness, the late Prince Philips. Prince Philips departed this world about a year ago. He founded the award with some of his respectable friends. So the award is a holistic program for young people. It has issues of education in it. It has issues of youth development in it. It has issues of skills development in it. So it's a very rounded program, which was founded in 1956.
Mr. Drame further explained the significance of the non-membership program aimed at providing crucial skills for youth participants.
Today, we boast of over 7 million young people in this program across the world. And it is founded on the pillars of providing young people the necessary attitude and behavior during their developmental stages of their life, during their transformative stage of their life. And if you look at our age target of this program, we are looking at young people between the age 14 to 25. And this age category or cohort is not chosen by any form of accident. It was carefully chosen. Most of us who are adults today will know that 14 to 25 is a very critical age in one's life. It is a transformative age in one's life, where young people will be transforming or changing from adolescence into adulthood. This is a very critical moment in one's life. And for those of us who have come from the award background, knows that this is where many of us will either make our life or break our life.
Sections include community voluntary service, outdoor expedition, skills and interests, physical recreation, and residential projects. The chairperson of the National Organizing Committee, Fatoumata Sinyate, highlighted the challenges they are faced with and appealed to stakeholders to come to their aid as they move to organize a successful award ceremony.
We're expecting to award 3,000 participants. But again, like some of my colleagues mentioned, resource is a constraint. We all know that. 3,000 is not a small figure, and we have participants all over the country. So imagine when we're doing an international the Gold Award, we have to transport participants from LLR, from URR, all over, and we have to host them here for a day in order to have the award gold awarding. So we are counting on stakeholders and sundries to chip in terms of human resources, in terms of financial resources. Everything is welcome, because we're trying to work on the budget of having 3,000 young participants, and probably half of this might come from off-country.
3,000 participants will be awarded in the 9th edition slated for May 2022. Sheikh Juf, reporting for GRTS News.
Over 20 personnel of the Gambia Armed Forces have completed a 3-week training on use of heavy weapons. The closing ceremony was held at the GAF Training School in Fajara. Ibrahim Jallo reports. It is the end of 3 weeks training for personnel of the Gambia Armed Forces held at the training school in Fajara. The soldiers are being trained in the operation of heavy weapons aimed at maximizing confidence and efficiency in the discharge of their duties. Abdullah Ba, commandant of the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, said the training was a success and that the participants demonstrated professionalism and discipline as customary.
During your stay at the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, you comported yourself very well, and there was no incident of indiscipline. This is what being professional means. Heavy weapons may refer to any weapon systems that are too big and heavy for infantry to carry, and thus rely on mounting platforms such as vehicles, aircraft, watercraft, or fortification to operate. These are crucial weapons, meaning a weapon that requires more than one person to transport or operate.
Captain Lamin Fode Fati applauds the initiative, saying it serves as a benchmark to conduct similar exercises in the future.
The battalion prepared a 3-week training program for the heavy weapons that included 60mm mortar and RPG-7 and a VIP protection course and basic intelligence that was done concurrently at the GAF TS here and then at the SIS training facility at Banjulundi. Both programs were done through lectures and practice and culminated into field training and live firing exercises at Tintimba Range and Palodi, respectively. There were 44 participants, 20 drawn from the close protection team and 20 from the support company, 4 instructors.
The soldiers dealt with the use of heavy weapons, including RPG. Lance Corporal Jibril Diouf is one of the graduates. He thanked the senior command for the training opportunity and enjoined his colleagues to utilize the knowledge gained.
Bringing 20 soldiers and 4 instructors from the State Guard Battalion to enhance their knowledge on this heavy weapon cutter, which is the 60mm mortar, and the RPG-7, that's the rocket propellant grenade 7, to enhance our knowledge on this weapon.
Colonel Alkali Conte is the Director of Services at the Gambia Armed Forces. He said the trained soldiers have the qualities to operate heavy weapons, citing their morals and physical strength.
You completed heavy weapon cutter course, which is centered mainly on RPG-7 and 60mm mortar, which culminated in a live firing exercise at Palodi Range. Therefore, you have mastered both the technical aspect of both RPG-7 and 60mm mortar systems, as well as the technical information of the 2 weapon systems. You have also mastered the tactical employment of these 2 weapon systems by engaging in a live firing exercise at Palodi Range.
The ceremony ended with presentation of certificates to participants. Ibrahim Diallo, GRTS News.
Moving on, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Student Association of Nusrat Secondary School organized a day's peace symposium on the theme Nation's Pride, a constraint in establishing peace. The 5th annual Peace Symposium brought together young students and teachers to reflect on the significance of peace. Baba Silla reports.
The annual Peace Conference gathered young people to nurture peace and discourse ways to build a peaceful and harmonious society with tolerance and understanding. The principal of Nusrat Senior, Muhammad Sise, highlighted the importance of the conference, especially for the school, which is moving to encourage young people to become peace builders and ambassadors.
This is very relevant and important, especially in a troubled world. Not only a troubled world, but when we reflect, we know even countries are in trouble. Streets are not safe, homes are not safe, and therefore individuals are not safe. And that is why, time to time, we need to come together to remind ourselves the importance of maintenance of peace.
Kelvin Ada, one of the speakers, delivered a lecture on the fundamentals of establishing lasting peace in a contemporary world of conflict.
We have to live together and admire each other. We must respect one another, listen to people's views, and know their understanding and feeling. And that is the basic concept of peace. Because if you love one another, we will live amicably, and there will be no bohaha.
The Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Baba F. Tarawalla, expounded on the significance of the symposium and advised young people to respect each other's nationality, noting that respect and tolerance for diversity will establish peace throughout the world.
In the Holy Quran, God Almighty has made it clear that whilst our nationalities or ethnic backgrounds act as a means of identity, they do not entitle or validate any form of superiority of any kind. The Quran thus makes clear that all people are born equal.
Different speakers, including the head boy of the Nusrat High School, spoke on the significance of peace and the role of students in peace building. Baba Sila, GRTS.
From the report by Baba Sila, we will join the Central Forecast Office for the day's weather news. We'll now take a break, but up next is sports news. Stay tuned. The Gambia Wrestling Association, through the European Union Cultural Support Project, train wrestling technicians in the North Bank region and other parts of the country. The two-day training held in Farafenye is part of efforts to develop traditional sports in the country. Momodu S. Jallo reports.
Wrestling has seen a steady rise over the years, with the Gambia Wrestling Association tirelessly working to reposition the age-old sport from a mere traditional sport to a viable industry. This two-day training in the North Bank town of Farafenye for wrestling technicians is part of a strategic drive by the Wrestling Association to make the sport more competitive and rewarding for athletes and stakeholders.
Project bi nak nekk na project boo xam ne lamba wax digga ak neex yàlla daf ci gis boppam torop moo tax ñu capitalise ko bi nga xam ne lépp lu ndaw luñ ci mën a am rek nañoo fexe ñu benefit ko mu nekk ay benefit ñun.
The capacity building, which drew participants from all regions, is a component of the European Union Culture Support Project.
We are expecting many developments from this project because most of our wrestlers have been traveling all the way from here to Como, which is almost 100 and something kilometers far. So we are expecting that when we get our own stadium, our wrestlers will stay here and the payments will come back to the community. We will enjoy it more. It is well appreciated that trainees are here and we will have them here. Thank God that the Federation have brought them to us and we will have the training proper.
The lead consultant for the three-year project, who traveled from Belgium, laid emphasis on the importance of promoting traditional sports as a means to provide gainful employment for those involved in the business.
In Gambia, it has been protected and it has been enhanced. Right? It has been enhanced, and it's an opportunity to spread it across the sub-region, so that our culture and its values, can be maintained for the generations to come.
Participants were trained in various aspects of the sport by different experts, including Professor Abdou Badji, a highly experienced trainer from the Chess Wrestling Academy in Senegal, whose vast knowledge in the sport is expected to benefit the trainees in the mastery of special skills.
I think this is very, very important, as far as, wrestling is concerned, because this is a project, that will, complement the efforts of the government, where, the Gambia Wrestling Association, through the Ministry of Youth and Sports, to complete, the sports that they are trying to, to nurture.
The EU Culture Support Project is working with the Gambia Wrestling Association and other partners to promote investment in culture, creative arts, and traditional sports to enhance resilience against climate change in local communities. And wrestling is a major part of this initiative. Amadas Jalo, Giata Sports.
In the internationals, African governments have raised concerns following Ukraine's call to enlist volunteer fighters. But some youths have expressed interest in fighting for Ukraine. Details in the CGTN report.
At the Ukrainian embassy in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, seeking to be enlisted as fighters. This came after reports of Ukraine's recruitment drive targeting Africans. Here in Nigeria, many youths indicated interests. For them, it's yet another opportunity to leave the shores of the country to seek greener pastures.
It's better for someone to even die there than to die in this country. Yes. My brother, is it anything special in this country? You and I know that nothing special in this country.
Some of us think that it's better to die for a country who will value you, right, than to die for a country who will not, even while you're alive, it seems as if you're dead already.
But volunteers have since stepped back following stringent travel requirements and stiff resistance from Nigerian authorities.
What we have seen in the case of Nigeria is that we've seen a segregation, or probably I can say a discrimination, because you were aware of that rule when the second secretary of the Ukrainian embassy in Nigeria mentioned that Nigerians who want to volunteer to fight in defense of Ukraine must pay $1,000. You cannot expect the reaction you've seen from Nigeria.
I support those authorities that are opposed to it. But, the request or the idea did not go to those authorities. The idea is appealing to the citizens of these authorities, of these countries. The countries saying no, their rights, because they want to protect their sovereignty.
UN peacekeeping efforts have helped several countries navigate through conflict situations, but Ukraine has moved to get mercenaries from Africa and elsewhere.
So it was a call for survival, and that call has been responded to. You are aware of that. But is it acceptable by international law in that context? Yes, because the United Nations has not come out to probably declare that call unlawful.
Over 100 Nigerians had volunteered to be recruited to fight for Ukraine, but Nigerian authorities have insisted they'll not allow the country's citizens to be used as mercenaries in Ukraine or anywhere else in the world. Kelechi Mekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
The strengthening of Euro-African partnership is a dominant priority at the ongoing EU-AU summit, with particular attention to entrepreneurship. African News has more.
As part of its presidency of the European Union, France will make strengthening the Euro-African partnership one of its priorities for the first half of 2022 in order to create added value products and jobs. We need a change in mentality, especially among young people, with regard with the employer-employee relationship. If this change is not made, if we are not culturally prepared to become entrepreneurs, we will be eternally frustrated. That's what we see today, and that is what we need to change.
We didn't invest enough ambition on our potential, and I want us to stop talking about the purely material aspect, which includes the resources of Africa and its youth. There are other things that exist on the continent and that are exceptional, like the technical and technological innovation on the fintech sector that could transform this continent into a real laboratory of ideas and give Africa a leading role in the drafting of a new regulation.
The forum that focused on entrepreneurship was held on Thursday in Marseille, France.
L'accompagnement des PME est clé en Afrique.
The support of SME is key in Africa, particularly for the inclusion of populations and the fight against poverty. We intervene both financially and have decided to double our funding by 2025, and also with a lot of coaching for business leaders through SMEs, houses that we have recognized in each of our banks on the African continent.
Well, that's it for now, but a quick look at our top stories once again. The new U.S. ambassador designate to the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Sharon L. Cromer, presented her letters of credence to His Excellency President Adama Barrow. Her Excellency Vice President of the Gambia, Dr. Aissatou Touré, have hosted a meeting on findings of humanitarian crisis in the Casamance region. The Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, have started a 3-day training of trainers for 200 assistant returning officers ahead of the National Assembly elections. In sports, the Gambia Wrestling Association and partners have trained wrestling technicians in the country. Elsewhere, African governments have raised concerns following Ukraine's call to enlist volunteer fighters, but some have expressed interest in fighting for Ukraine. Well, that's it for this edition of the News at 10. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and stay tuned to GRTS and enjoy the rest of our interesting programs.
Real people.